You are listening to Rising Pineapple's Inspirational Talks, a video podcast series of interviews to empower women to reach their full potential. Hello everyone, my name is Marie. This episode is part of our series about work and mental health. I just had the privilege to interview Marie-Amélie Chéreau. Today, Marie-Amélie is a painter and author, but before, she had another life. In this talk, you'll hear about being raised to become a CEO, being a boss lady in a male environment, about the dynamics between mind and body in situations of burnout, and about finding meaning in hardship to create a life with a strong purpose. I hope you'll enjoy the conversation as much as I did. Are you ready? Hello, everyone. I'm here today with Marie-Amélie Chéreau, a fellow French woman, but someone who has also seen the world. Marie-Amélie, before we start, I want to really thank you for being here. You're about to share with our community parts of your life, which I'm sure are going to inspire the many. And part of our conversation today is going to be focused on the topic of work and mental health. And I can't stress enough the importance of discussing this topic and really creating a safe environment for women to exchange openly about that. So before we start, really again, a really warm welcome and a big thank you from my end. Happy to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Marie. Very happy to be with you today and to speak about resilience, mental health, and life balance between personal life and professional life.
That sounds awesome. Thank you. So let's get started. Marie-Amélie, can you quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Marie-Amélie, and today I'm an author and a painter. So basically, I'm an artist, but I haven't been an artist my whole life. I used to have a first life with a professional career, and I totally switched life a few years ago, actually 7 years ago, when I had to face a major burnout, which basically forced me to reinvent my life. It took me a few years to reach this journey. I mean, I'm still on this journey, but to reach the point I am at today, which is expressing my life, and I think my some kind of my gift in writing and painting.
That sounds fascinating. So let's try and walk everyone through the journey that you've been on. You mentioned started your career, I think, in the corporate world. So maybe you can share a bit about that. So how you built your career, what stage you reached, and what it took you to reach the pinnacle of your corporate career, so to say.
Okay, so basically I've been raised in my family to be a racing horse. So all my life I've been told that I had to be a CEO and that would be a CEO one day. So basically that was when I started my study, that was really my goal in mind. I really wanted to be a CEO. I did some finance and accounting studies with the University of Paris 9 Dauphine, and later with an MBA from HEC. Very young, I expatriated myself to Mexico when I was 20 years old. I started working for big French corporation there, Guerlain, L'Oréal. Then I created my own business. And from there, on, I climbed up the ladder and I ended up in Hong Kong in 2008 as the general manager of the business of LVMH for all their watch and jewelry business in Hong Kong. And later on, I became VP of this area as well, still in the watch and jewelry for LVMH in Hong Kong.
Well, very ambitious career indeed, with the being a CEO from the start and then all the way to becoming actually VP of watch and jewelry for that big prestigious group that is LVMH. What do you think it takes to reach such a prestigious position? What did you have to go through as a woman, maybe in that environment?
Well, first you have to be very determined, show a lot of strength and faith in yourself. Basically, I used to have, when I was studying, we were talking about the 4P of the marketing, product, price, promotion, and placement, distribution. And I created my own 4P, which were passion, pugnacity, perseverance, and power. And it's true, you need to have some power. I was very ambitious and I had a lot of power inside. Yeah, I think you also have to believe in yourself. I always believed I could do it. I took also a lot of risk because the past that was 15, 20 years ago, the past was not that easy for women who wanted to climb up the ladder. I always believed that I could achieve it.
And you did?
And I did. Yeah, I did. but it also took a toll on myself. I was really working a lot. Mm-hmm. It was not that easy when you are a woman. You are very ambitious. You manage to do your work pretty well, and people are not used to this kind of character, to this kind of, I would say, aggressive, but it's not really aggressive, but really showing out that you want it and you're gonna do whatever it takes to achieve it. And sometimes your professional environment and also your personal environment is a bit destabilized by this kind of ambition and drive. And I've also been surrounded by great people who also wanted to help me and at some point pushed me and believed in me and gave me my chance. But it hasn't been an easy path. I fought for everything I achieved.
Very impressive. And I like how you come with these 4 Ps, your kind of toolkit that helped you go on that path. You also mentioned that some people have been very instrumental in helping you reach these different career ladders. Can you maybe mention particular people or mentors you had along the way and what they gave you also to succeed?
I didn't have any mentor. I searched for one, didn't find one. So I would say that it was more kind of opportunities. I met people here and there that believed in me and they pushed me or they helped me at some stage, but they haven't been following me on the long term. So I think about someone at HEC. His name is Jean-Claude. I love him very, very much. We were working together in the luxury group, the alumni luxury group for HEC during many years. And it has always been there for me, giving me some advice, some tips, but he was not really involved in my professional life. Also within LVMH, I met a few people here and there that more kind of, gave me my chance. To them, I'm really grateful.
Wonderful. So you were surrounded by great people. You had a position of power. You were working abroad in one of the most prestigious French companies. Were you happy, Marie-Amélie?
Yeah, I thought I was happy. Actually, I believed I was happy. It was a kind of creating my own reality in my mind. So your thought become your reality. And at that moment, I was really happy, but it was crazy. The pace was crazy. It was very difficult as well to try to build a family, working like hell at the same time. The work was really very heavy and I was traveling a lot. And it was not an easy world for a woman. I was one of the few high-level director in LVMH in Asia at that time. That was already 15 years ago. And it's not easy for a woman, to be very honest. You have to prove yourself all the time. You have to work sometimes twice as much as your colleague to prove that you can make it. You also face natural unconscious bias from your man's environment. And I don't want to blame them, but it's just that to them at that stage, many of them, they are not used to work with a woman and they are not used to work with a woman who has power and who is in charge of a P&L. So in their unconscious, it's kind of disturbing. It's not supposed to be where a woman should be. I really didn't experience this with my Asian colleague, like Chinese or Hong Kong people. They were working with me like an individual. I was not a woman, or I was not a man. I was the person that we're doing business with, regardless my gender. But I really experienced this bias with European men. That was really exhausting. I also faced the gender pay gap. Yeah, I found it really unfair, to be honest. There can be thousands of reasons that can explain why this happened or why this took place. And most probably I'm responsible for one of them, because when I joined LVMH, for instance, I didn't fought for my salary, my entrance package. I was this kind of very young girl, and I was so happy to join LVMH that I didn't think at that time. And maybe that's the point where I would have needed a mentor. I was almost kind of grateful for them to give me the job. And based on my study, my education, what I already had achieved in my life, I should have had a better package at the entrance. And then it follows you year on year. But basically, when you find out that really your 20% underpaid compared to your other men, fellow companion, like colleagues who have exactly the same jobs as yours, you find it very unfair. I had also this kind of unfairness feeling. Maybe it's very personal. Maybe I was too emotional. It's true. I'm a very emotional person, and it's difficult to be emotional in this kind of, very rational, pragmatic, and tough competition environment. So that was something from which I really suffered a lot when I was working.
Yeah. And even if nowadays there's a real tendency towards bridging this pay gap, I mean, we all know that it still exists, right? So maybe we can just pause here and you could maybe help younger women who are currently listening, in addressing that challenge. So when you first start working and you're offered a certain salary, how would you advise them to go about it to make sure that they don't, create from the start this pay gap that's going to follow them throughout their career?
Well, do them homework. They have to know how much companies are paying for their position on the market, men and women. They have to be benchmarked. And then if the company still says for X, Y, Z reason, they can't match the market, then they have to try to understand why. And they have to put forward their skills, their capacities, their diploma, their unique USP they're bringing to the company. It should be like transactional. It should be like making a deal. It shouldn't be based on gender or color skin or age. It really should be based on what you bring in the company.
It's very clear. Yeah, thank you for that. I think you really made a point, and it's super helpful. Cool. Let's go back. Let's go back to you. You were telling us how you really reached, that position, and you were in this kind of tricky equilibrium, trying to match everything, family, personal life, but also struggling in this very male-dominated environment with lots of pressure, long hours, and so on and so forth. So, what did it do with you at the end?
Well, I crashed into the wall, basically. One morning, I just woke up and I fainted, and I was brought to the hospital, and I never came back to work. Basically, that's how it happened. Yeah, that was really, really, really hard. I think I was working way too much. I was putting too much pressure on myself. I was at that time running a lot. I was working 15 hours, 16 hours a day. I was not eating a lot. I was exhausting myself, and I was in total denial of all the signal my body was sending me, like, slow down, you're going to fail, you're going to crash. I always thought, no, I can do it. I can do it. I mean, well, there is a will, there is a way, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it. Until one day, my body just said, stop. I don't take it anymore. I stop. And it's exactly what happened.
What were the symptoms that you were seeing but ignoring? Can you give us some examples?
You can't sleep anymore. You're very tired all the time. You're having some kind of trying to push yourself more and more on a physical level, like more sport, also very controlling with what you're eating in the sense of more or less. Mm-hmm. You become irritated. You become very sensitive. You're kind of isolating yourself from your environment at the same time, because people are starting to tell you, you should slow down, you're tired, you should take a rest. And you say, no, I'm fine. Everything is fine. I'm controlling. Everything is fine. Don't worry. I'm in charge. Everything is fine. So you're in total denial of what's going on, and you're not listening to your environment, whether personal or professional. You think you're stronger, basically. Right. You think you cannot fail.
Mm-hmm. So until that day when you ran into the wall, so what happened from there? Were you able to put a word on what was happening to you? Did you?
Big dark hole. I was during 9 months on medical leave. I never went back to LVMH. A lot of things from my past came back. And basically, I started a journey to heal myself, to heal my past, to find myself. When you face this kind of crash, either you really stop living and you stop, either you try to find the resources within you to try to give a meaning to what's happening and what you can make out of it. So this happened in January 2014. It took me, almost 7 years to really find my new self, to be totally in adequation between the doing and the being, and to really find the reason, the mission, why I am on this earth today, and how I can make this world better with my skill, my contribution. This is what I'm doing today.
Right.
And to really come back to your question, I started trying to heal myself. I spent a lot of time in Thailand at that moment because staying in Hong Kong was very difficult. I started writing, and I published the first novel in 2018, which is called Les Autruches. And it carries well its name, because, the ostriches in English, it's when you bury your head in the sun not to see what's around you. So it's like kind of self-explanatory. And I moved back to Europe, and I started painting, because I used to paint a lot when I was a child and a teenager. And I reconnected with all those artistic gifts I inherited, but I didn't connect with before during my professional life. So,
and is it that you didn't connect with them before because you were raised in the way you explained at the beginning about being a performer, achieving a successful business career? So maybe there was not so much space left for that, would you say?
I think I've always been an artist, but I was raised in an environment where these artistic skills were not allowed to be expressed. It took me, 45 years to really reconnect to them.
So you mentioned this walking into the wall happened in 2014. In 2018, you released the book, and then you also started painting. So, I mean, it's quite a long time. Yeah, seven years, and also 4 years before the first release of your book. Would you say that writing and painting and these skills were the most instrumental elements in your healing, or were there maybe also other resources that you used to get back to yourself?
The first thing is that I had to really heal myself. During 2 years, I couldn't do anything. I was like a vegetable. All my glands exploded. I couldn't sleep. I barely could eat. I was doing something during 2 hours, and then I needed to sleep. I had no energy. I couldn't focus during a long time. If you speak with people who experience burnout, I mean real burnout, not a kind of like depression, then I think we're going to talk about that. But basically you cannot properly function during a long time. So during 2 years I was out. I was really out. I was very lucky because I was financially stable, so that also gave me the opportunity to spend some time, as I was saying, in Thailand, where I met great doctors. I did a lot of acupuncture. I did a lot of EMDR, emotional freedom release, a lot of things that help your body also get rid of all those traumatic experiences and heal yourself. I read a lot also about, spirituality, health, connection between body, mind, and spirit. I entered a kind of very spiritual world. So I took this time to basically try to reinvent myself, try to heal myself, and it's a kind of rebirth. Literally, it's a kind of rebirth.
Sounds like. You mentioned there's a difference between maybe something more mild, which people could call depression, and something which you experience, which is really called a burnout in that case. So then I would have two questions. The first one is if you could first explain the difference. And the second one, what you can advise people who, like me, might not have had a burnout, but may know some people in their surrounding that they assume are going to go that path, and how we could be of help.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to stress out what is burnout compared to depression. I'm not a doctor first, but to my understanding, based on everything I've read, depression starts mostly in the mind. So basically, it's like you're fighting with mood, emotion, well-being, thought, but it starts from the mind. Burnout it's both. It's physical and mind. It starts with exhaustion, but then it goes, so exhaustion is physical, And then it's this kind of circle that starts between the mind and the thought. And when you experience a burnout, it's basically your body that is preventing yourself from exploding inside. Otherwise, you would kill yourself. It's like your body is kind of protecting yourself. I shut down everything because otherwise your brain is going to explode inside. You're going to kill yourself. The burnout is a kind of sabotage. You know what I mean? It's a kind of physical sabotage so that you can still live.
It's a very strong metaphor. It's very clear. And I think the distinction you made between both is also extremely clear. So, yeah.
When you see people that are starting to be very tired all the time, starting to be in the denial, saying, no, everything is fine. I'm in control. Don't worry, everything is fine. Starting to work more, do more. The thing is that people who are in depression, usually they are in their thing and they are aware of that. So they start doing less, they're tired. People who are in pre-burnout, they start doing more of everything. That's a very strong sign of people that are starting to be in a burnout phase. The denial, everything is fine, I'm going to manage. Then, as I was saying, they kind of isolate themselves from their both personal and professional environment. Inside, they feel helpless, so they need to do more, show more, to kind of regain this feeling of being helpless. They very often, like in depression, feel an emptiness inside, so that they need to feel this emptiness. And they start being, as I was saying, pretty unable to relax, very irritated. They're usually also people who are very self-demanding towards themselves. Mm-hmm. I just want to stress out something here. I've known in my professional life a lot of people, both men and women, that are working like crazy, that are not sleeping a lot, that are having a lot of stress, and they are not in a burnout symptom. So I think there is something very specific with people who are having burnout, is that they are mainly, if not always, emotionally unstable. Is that those people very often lack self-confidence, they lack conscious of self-worth, and they try excessively to gain from their professional environment this recognition they don't have for themselves. And I was one of those persons. I acknowledge it. That's why when you are combining this lack of self-worth, self-value, and this excessivism in the environmental workplace, then you have the perfect recipe for burnout. Right. But again, as I was saying, I met so many people, and still today, both men and women, who are working really like crazy, and they will never have a burnout because they're very stable with themselves. They are very acute and aware of their own self and worth and value. They are not emotionally unstable, so it's fine. They have they have set their own boundary. They have set their own barriers. They find into themselves this balance. Actually, this kind of pace most of the time drives them and gives them more energy instead of depleting them from this energy.
Yeah, I understand. Is it possible at all to help someone who is about to have a burnout if you say that these people are in denial, are possibly isolating themselves or distancing themselves from you, plus they lack this inner self-confidence? Do you think it's possible at all?
Yeah, I think it's possible because today more and more people are talking about burnout. So everybody knows about burnout. I think you can give them some book, or you can bring them to some open talk or seminar, or making them see a doctor that is going to explain them. And just also to explain them that it's not a failure. You're not a failure if you have a burnout today. It's good, actually. It's going to bring something else. It can be an opportunity. So if you also give a very positive feedback to those people who are in this situation, it can help them also to acknowledge it.
I mean, this is the reason why we're talking today, right? I think when your testimony is absolutely a path in that direction, and turning that failure, like someone might perceive it from the outside, into something positive. I think totally something that you experienced. The first time we talked, Marie-Amélie, you actually told me this burnout saved my life.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, I mean, I'm very, very happy today. I have an amazing life. And as I was saying earlier, I think I'm exactly in the position, in the situation where I'm the best at today, matching these skills I know, this gift I have with a purpose that makes me happy.
Tell us more about that. So what exactly is your gift and how are you putting it to use today?
So basically today, what I'm trying to do is spreading happiness and joy through my art, whether it's visual art with my painting and the vision boards I'm doing for my clients, and my book. I published, as I was saying, my first book in 2018. My second book, the name was is still Les Autruches. And my second book is released next week on the 27th of October. And the name is Le Champ des Possibles. In English, the field of all possibilities, which is again kind of self-explanatory. And yeah, my books deliver messages. They help people. Every testimony I received from my first book was amazing. It's like, your book helped me so much. I understood so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, I mean, that's great. And this is really what I want to do today is helping people who are suffering, is helping people who are searching for meaning, who are in despair. And I also developed over the last year this concept of transformance, which is the ability to heal yourself, both emotionally and physically, through the energy, but also the thought and the emotion. You know, I've read a lot about the brain plasticity and how emotion and thought are so much connected. And basically, when you think about something, you create molecules, which are molecules of emotion. For instance, you feel happy, you think about something which makes you happy, and then your brain is starting to create dopamine and serotonin. So it's how you can also change the connection of the neuron in your brain with your thoughts. This concept of transformance is how you can totally reinvent yourself, both physically and emotionally, through the ability of your brain, your thought, and the energy you're creating, because we are all being of energy. At the end of the day, we are just energy and electricity, vibes, frequency. So this is also what I've been working on, and this is also what I try to pass on through my book and my artwork.
So transformance is something that we will find in your books?
Not specifically. It's something I developed on the side, but in my book you will really find a lot of spiritual insight, a lot of way and guidance, how you can heal your life and how you can create your dream life. My first book is about resilience and surviving deep trauma, and how what about the brain has forgotten, the body has not, and how you can heal that and reinvent yourself. And the second book, it's a love story, basically, but it's also how you can create your dream life. It's a very spiritual book as well, about healing energy, connection, law of attraction, manifestation. We all have the ability to create and to live our dreams. It's about intention. It's about deeply believing about it. It's about connecting your emotion and your thinking. And I can give you so many examples in my life that happens, that really happens.
These examples of your life.
I talk also in my second book about quantic physics. And basically the quantic physics is based on the observation. Okay, when the molecule exists only when you project your attention to it. So in the quantic physics, you have a field of so many possibilities, so many particles, and they don't exist. The way through the energy of your eye, you project your energy to this specific particle, it exists, it manifests. It's basically the same concept you can apply in your life. Believe it's going to happen, but believe it deeply within yourself. And then you're going to make it happen in your life. It's kind of seeing your future.
Manifestation, absolutely.
It's exactly what I'm doing with my client for the vision board. I create, okay, I kind of create their dream life. Okay, they come to me and I do some kind of mix of image, words, my painting, my art, and I create their dream in an artwork. And through this ability to manifest and to visualize it, most of the time it's happening. So this is a very powerful tool, and it makes them happy, and it gives meaning.
Spreading joy is a beautiful mission that you're on, Marie-Amélie. That's wonderful. People who are listening and not necessarily watching the video can't see, but you have a beautiful mood board actually behind you. Is it the type of work that you're doing together with your clients?
Not, this is my inspiration. Not exactly, but if they go on my website, it starts from there. But this is really more for also my paintings.
We'll make sure that we link the website to the show so people can look at it. And maybe quickly to finish on your books, I mean, thank you for sharing that. I also totally want to read them. Just to make sure I got it right, is it a kind of a combination between your personal stories that you were able to put on paper through your healing phase, plus some research, plus some more fantasy, let's say, or what can people expect?
The first one is half novel, half real. Okay, so I used some of the things I've lived and I turn it into a novel. The second one is the following of the first one, so it's still Camille, but the second one is really a novel. I created it and then a few things happened.
Beautiful. I'm super excited for you and for this launch.
So this is the second one. It's Le Champ des Possibles.
Wonderful.
And I would say that it's a kind of erotico-spiritual novel. So it talks about sex as a healing energy, but it talks a lot about, also healing energy, religion, love, and trauma as well, a little bit.
Fascinating topics. I'm sure people will enjoy it a lot. And again, we will link that. Thank you so much, Marie-Amélie. Thank you for being such an open book with us, walking us through your experiences, also providing very, very clear understanding of what is, burnout versus depression, sharing with us also your path to recovery. It's so great to see you on camera, smiling and happy, publishing books that are helping many, many women out there. You're just a living example that, yes, burnout can be actually a positive trigger to a much better life. And so I'm really thankful for your testimony. Is there anything that you'd like to add?
I'd like to add that I'm really, really grateful for the people that have been in my life over the last year, because without them, I wouldn't be here today. Most of them, they really loved me and believed in me much more than I did. So I'm really very grateful to them for their support and their faith. The most important thing in life, love everything. Love is the most powerful energy. So love yourself, love life, love even the people who harm you, love everyone.
That's such a beautiful message, love. We will leave you with that, Marie-Amélie. Again, thank you for being with us today. And all the best to you with the book and with spreading joy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to our interview series. We hope this story will inspire you to take action and reveal your unique potential. Make sure to follow Rising Pineapples on our social media channels. And if you've enjoyed the talk, we'd love you to share it with another woman who we might inspire as well.